Hello and welcome back. In this video I will continue on from my first video on Nietzsche's essay on the use and abuse of history, which you can find here. I'd suggest watching that first if you haven't already. In chapter 2, Nietzsche continues looking into history and concludes that history is necessary to the living man in three ways: in relation to his action and struggle, his conservatism and reverence, his suffering and his desire for deliverance. Nietzsche states that these three relations answer to the three kinds of history, these being the monumental, the antiquarian, and the critical. History is above all necessary to the people of action, a person who cannot find leaders, teachers, and examples in their contemporaries. These people wish to use history as a weapon against the calm acceptance of things as they are, usually adopted without any attempt to resist or change them. They gaze upon the great people of the past and ignore the fact that it is often the fairest lives for the people who think the least. These monumental thinkers accept that nothing worth doing comes easily. Nietzsche argues that the monumental acknowledge that the great thing existed and was therefore possible, and so may be possible again. While this sounds positive, there is a dark side to this view of history. While there are groups of people who raise the culture, bringing about history's greatest achievements, Nietzsche identifies that monumental history also entices the brave to rashness and the enthusiastic to fanaticism by its tempting comparisons. Monumental history can be used as a cloak by those that hate the present power and greatness, accomplished by the acute false admiration of the past. The antiquarian, in comparison, looks to the past with love and trust and is thankful for the origins of his existence. Nietzsche describes that the antiquarian is careful to preserve what survives from ancient days and will reproduce the conditions of his own upbringing for those who come after him. Thus he does life for service. We all know people who carry forth the traditions of their families, which they learnt from their parents, who in turn learnt from theirs. The history of their family and their town becomes the history of themselves. Nietzsche envisions issues with the antiquarian history. He mentions the feeling of the tree clinging to its roots, the happiness obtained not from hard work and perseverance, but instead inheritance. We saw with the monumental that even the past itself suffers when history serves life and is directed by its end. The antiquarian view of a person, town or country has a limited field, and Nietzsche believes that many things are not noticed, and what is can only be seen in isolation. He states, "For the things of the past are never viewed in their true perspective, or receive their just value. But value and perspective change with the individual or the nation that is looking back on its past." The danger being that history pays homage to traditions to the point where it undermines a further and higher life. Nietzsche sees it would then no longer preserve life, but mummify it. Nietzsche declares, antiquarian history degenerates from the moment that it no longer gives the soul and inspiration to the fresh life of the present. The antiquarian, therefore, only understands how to preserve life, and not how to create it. The critical is the third and final type of history that Nietzsche posits. A third type which he believes is necessary when compared alongside the previous two. The critical view demands we bring the past to the bar of judgment, interrogate it remorselessly, and finally condemn it. The critical view is dangerous. Anyone who judges and annihilates the past is a danger to themselves and to others. The critical condemn the errors of past generations, while trying to comprehend that we are born from them. To Nietzsche, this displays a conflict between the innate, inherited nature and our knowledge. How do we then escape the crimes of our ancestors, whilst not completely annihilating the past? It is yet another battle to find a balance, As Nietzsche states, it is difficult to find a limit to the denial of the past. These are the three ways that Nietzsche believes history can serve life. Every man and nation needs a certain amount of knowledge of the past to assist in navigating, planning, and building from the present into the future.